Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel we talk about life and money and more specifically budgeting because I love budgeting. And today I am giving you a mock budget breakdown of an annual income of $120,000. But before we get into it, I want to let you guys know if you're interested in getting this budget template, you can actually get it off of my shop. I have a more extensive version than what I'm showing you today. It's very condensed right now just for the sake of this mock budget, but the actual budget template is a little bit more extensive. So I will have a link to that to my shop in the description box down below so you can check it out if you're interested. Also, I share my personal household budget here on YouTube, so if you want to check out those videos and see what our household budget looks like, you can check out the playlist. I will have a link to it in the description box down below, as well as the card up above. So a budget for $120,000. I will start by saying that this is a budget that I would make if this was my personal income. And so your budget may be a little bit different than this, and that's totally okay. A budget is not the same for everyone, and there's definitely a lot of flexibility in that depending on your circumstance, your lifestyle, and also the goals that you're working on. So definitely take this with a grain of salt, knowing that this isn't exactly how you should be budgeting your money, but this could be a framework or a guide for how you could be budgeting. More so, this is more of a suggestion regarding percentages. It's also really valuable to be budgeting off of percentages because the more you make, the more that you can spend or save, obviously. And so there's a lot of categories in a budget that are really dependent on percentages of income. So these are more guides to the percentages that you could be spending on different line items in your budget if this is close to your income. So again, this is totally just what I would do, and this may vary for you, and that's totally okay. All right, so the first line that we have in our budget here is income. And in my personal budget, I have my husband's income and my income as individual line items. And that way I'm able to track each income stream, which I find to be valuable. But for the sake of this mock budget, I just have this all lumped together in one line item. And here we have a take-home budget of $7,000. So if you're making $120,000, obviously you're gonna have to pay taxes and those sorts of things. So you're not going to be taking home $120,000 at the end of the year. So you could be taking home around $7,000 a month. Obviously this can vary depending on where you live and also your tax situation, because this is going to be the money that you take home after taxes and such. So we can assume maybe around $7,000 you're taking home, again, just for the sake of this budget. So the budget that we are going to be working on today is a zero-based budget, which means all of our income equals all of our money out, which are expenses and savings and debt payments. And we want to make sure that we have every dollar assigned a name. And this is so important because this also ensures that you're not spending more money than you're making, which can be really detrimental. So using a zero-based budget is very important. So now I'll show you where you can allocate every dollar for a budget of about $7,000 each month. The first line item that we have here is giving, and we have this at $700 or 10%. So again, this is a budget that I would make if this were my income, and yes, I would include giving here at 10%. My husband and I have always found that giving is very important to us in our budget every month, and we give 10%, and that's just something that's important to us. But obviously, if this isn't something that you think you need in your budget, then you can obviously allocate this money to go towards something else. Again, this is just a sample of what I would do, and you can customize this to fit your lifestyle and your desires. The next line item that we have is a mortgage or rent payment, and we have this at $1,750, and this is 25% of your take home. So this is that one percentage that's really pretty important to follow. I would say 25 to no more than like 30-ish% to go towards your rent or mortgage payment. And that's because you don't want to be house poor, meaning you don't want to be spending a huge chunk of your budget on your rent or mortgage payment, because that would not allow you to be able to spend more money on fun sorts of things and also working on accomplishing your financial goals. So having this at around 25 to 30% is really key and most important in your budget is keeping this percentage. So $1,750 is what we have for a rent or mortgage payment for a $120,000 income. The next line item that we have is utilities, and we have this at $525 or 7.5%. So utilities would be things like water, garbage, sewer, electric, natural gas, your phone, internet, those sorts of things can all go into utilities. And for our personal budget, we actually have each of those line items listed out. So we have like an electricity line item, a natural gas line item, and so on, just so that I can track those bills a bit easier. But the total of all of those should be around $525. Next we have is insurance, which is also at $525, which again is 7.5%. So this would be things like health insurance, car insurance, or life insurance. So for my husband and I, our health insurance premiums actually come out of our paychecks. So we actually don't see it in our budget because we're budgeting off of our take-home pay. So if you look at any of our budget videos, you will see car insurance and life insurance, and health insurance isn't included because we'd already taken care of it before we even saw the money hit our bank account. So $525 could be around what you'd spend on those insurance type items. Next we have is groceries, and we have this at $525 or 7.5%. This amount though can really vary depending on the size of household you have. So for my husband and I, we've been a household of 2, and actually I say this now because I'm 35 weeks pregnant, and by the time this video goes out, I should hopefully have a baby by now. But I will say that while we've been a household of 2 people, we've spent around $250 to $300 a month on groceries, and we felt like we've been able to get all the things that we want for grocery-wise, and we've also been able to eat out like 2 or 3 times a month, which goes to a different category. But that just shows you we are using our grocery budget for most of the meals that we have. So $525, depending on your household size, could be a little bit higher, and this could be something that you could trim down if necessary. Next we have is transportation or gas, and this could also be around 7.5% or $525. Honestly, this also feels a little bit high. My husband and I spend $150 a month on gas each month, and that's for our commutes to and from work. And we also have a car maintenance fund that we'll put like $75 a month into to get necessary car maintenance things done if it comes up. But this feels maybe a little bit high, and again, something that you may trim down depending on your lifestyle and your circumstances. But other things that may go into this category would be things like gas for your car, as well as any sort of car maintenance or like a bus pass if you're taking public transportation. The next line item that we have is fun or entertainment. So we have $350 here, and that is 5%. This could be things like monthly subscriptions that you have, and also things like eating out and going on date night, going to the movies, all those sorts of things, all those sorts of extras that aren't necessities could go to this fun or entertainment category, and that's $350. We also have a miscellaneous category at $350, which is also 5%. It's so important to have a miscellaneous category in your budget because there's always going to be something that comes up during the month that you weren't initially anticipating, and having a line item that you can put it to is so valuable. When my husband and I were first married and we were living in an apartment, we definitely didn't have many household expenses, so anytime we had to get toilet paper or soap or those sorts of things, we'd put it to miscellaneous, as well as like if I needed to get mascara or something like that. And also any other sort of thing that would come up during the month that we weren't initially anticipating, we'd put towards miscellaneous. Obviously, if you end up spending more on a certain category in your miscellaneous, like your household, you find that you spend at least $50 a month on household expenses, then that may be a new category that you want to make in your budget. But overall, it's really beneficial to have a miscellaneous category, and here we have it at $350 for all those other sorts of extra things that don't fit into the categories above. So the total for all of these is $5,250. So now to show you the savings items that you may be wanting to work towards in your budget. So first off, we have a savings or debt payoff line item, and this is basically your financial goal that you're working on, whether that's saving for an emergency fund or paying off debt or saving more for retirement. This is that line item that you can put money towards working on a financial goal. And we have it at $1,400, which is 20% of the overall budget. So if it happens that you have more debt to pay off than $1,400 each month, then you need to find other places in your budget that you can trim down so that you can put more towards working on your debt payoff, or if you're really serious about working on a financial goal, you can trim down other areas of your budget to work on putting more towards that goal, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit because I want to show you how you can utilize this budget and trim it down if you're really serious about working on that goal. So the next line item that we have is personal spending money, which we have at $350 or 5% of the overall budget. And it's so valuable to have a personal spending line item in your budget. My husband and I have done personal spending since we first got married, which when we had a much smaller income, it was like $25 a month. And then it went to $50 eventually, and now we spend each $100 a month. We get $100 of personal spending money. I personally like having it in the savings section of my budget because that way we can decide if we want to save that money each month or if we want to spend it. And in the budget template, if you're interested in getting this template for yourself, you can put the amount in the actuals when that happens. and it'll then update and tell you what your ending balance is in the fund, as well as if you were to spend money, then it would update that as well. You can then take the ending balance and copy it and paste it onto the beginning balance for the next month, so you can track how much is in that fund month over month. And so I like doing this because I'm a huge saver, and that way I'm able to save up for something that I want. Like last year I bought myself a pair of AirPods after I saved up my personal spending money for a little bit. And that just allows each of us to be able to buy whatever we want and not worry about checking in with each other about it. So we have $350 here for personal spending. So as you can see, the total money out that we have allocated is $7,000, which is the same as our income, which means that we have a zero-based budget and all of our income equals all of the money out. But I want to show you where you can probably trim some things out of this budget so that you can put more towards your goal if needed. So first off, groceries, I really think that you can cut this down, especially depending on your family size. I mean, if you have a family of like 5 or 6 people, yeah, this is maybe what you'd be spending. But if you have a household of like 2 people right now, then you could probably trim this down to be like $300. Transportation and gas, this could also really be trimmed down to be more like $300. Fun and entertainment, this one definitely has to get slashed if you're really serious about working on a financial goal. So this could go down to maybe like $100 a month. Then miscellaneous, this is honestly maybe a little bit higher, and so this could also be trimmed down if you're going to be more conscious of what you're spending your money on. So we could trim this down to like $150. And then personal spending money, like I said, I get $100 each month and my husband gets $100. So I think putting this down to $200 is super realistic and doable and feels like more than enough for us. So as you can see, we've been able to cut out an extra $1,050 out of our budget, so we can add that to our debt or savings goal here. So that would be $2,450. And that would be 35% of the household budget is then able to go towards this financial goal. So this is just how you can work your budget and customize it to make it fit you and your circumstances and your goals. So you can definitely play around with your budget, and a budget is not like this strict thing. This isn't exactly how it needs to be. Obviously, it's going to be different depending on each person. So don't forget, if you're wanting to check out this budget template, you can get it with the link in the description box down below, which I'll have a link to. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.